Welcome to Business Minds, your resource for connecting with other business owners, with aspiring entrepreneurs, and forward thinkers who are interested in collaborating about topics in the business world that they need fresh perspectives about, or they're looking for new insights, new ways of doing things that perhaps they hadn't thought of before. I'm your host, Cindy Bird. I'm a business owner myself. I'm an educator and a thinking partner with a passion for helping businesses and individuals thrive. Thank you so much for choosing to join me for today's program. I hope you had a great weekend. No matter what you were out there doing, and I hope your summer's going well so far. It's hard to believe we're into the middle of July already. Seems like it goes pretty fast after the 4th passes. Maybe you've been on vacation already this summer, or maybe you're looking forward to planning a destination yet. Maybe there's a destination that you haven't thought of before, and it's to go to, I guess it'd be called a glamp ground, not a campground. But have you heard of this term, glamping? It's a term that refers to glamorous camping that provides the comforts of a hotel in an outdoor setting. And I'd heard of this term before, but I didn't realize that it had spawned an entire new subset of the hotel and hospitality industry until I saw a story just this past Saturday morning on CBS News about a company called Collective Retreats and their newest glamping site on Governor's Island in New York. This is a company that also has sites in Texas, Montana, Colorado, and they have another one that they're planning in California. So I want to bring up a photo to show you an idea of the accommodations that are provided by Collective Retreats. Pretty cool, huh? That's a kind of place where I think I would enjoy spending some time, even if it was in my own backyard. Those getaways can be wonderful. But I'm not a paid spokesperson for Collective Retreats. I'm not a sales rep for that company. What really caught my attention as I listened to this story were the reasons and the explanation about the driving forces behind the trend of glamping. And here's what a couple of people said. Dr. Lynn Minart, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, she's the academic director of the Tisch Center for Hospitality and Tourism at New York University. She said glamping is a growing trend in experiential travel, and she believes that it's a trend that's been growing since the economic downturn of 2008. When there was a shift in people's values, people started to value experiences over material possessions because they realized those experiences helped create lasting memories, whereas material possessions don't necessarily last forever. The CEO of Collective Retreats, Peter Mack, thinks people seem to be looking for more out of the time that they devote to their leisure. And he said this, I quote, "Their leisure time has become so precious because the world has just become so crowded. There's so much going on and everyone's busy. The idea that they can really have an authentic, awesome experience and some leisure time, I think we're just at the beginning of that trend," unquote. So it got me to thinking, who else might benefit from this glamping trend if you had a business that could serve this industry or somehow take advantage of this trend? And I made this short list. Suppliers to the hotel and hospitality industry may want to develop new types of products that would serve the glamping industry. And it really has opened up new markets potentially if you're a supplier. Landowners and real estate companies could take advantage of this trend, obviously, because companies that offer glamping are looking for locations. Makers of camping gear and outdoor clothing could capitalize on this trend. Even the makers of Hershey bars could capitalize on this trend by featuring glamping sites in their ads for s'mores, using Hershey bars to make s'mores. But what this story really illustrates, and what I want to hone in on for you today, is the importance of scanning the external environment in order to spot trends, preferably to spot them before someone else does. that gives you the upper hand. That gives you what's called the first mover advantage. And typically when you're the first mover, you can grab more market share in the industry. So first mover, whether you're coming up with a new product, a new service because of some trend or condition you've spotted, it could be new uses for old products. It could be totally new markets, new locations, new distribution channels, or even an entire new business, just like Collective Retreats has done. So if you are savvy about spotting these trends and leveraging them as opportunities, there's a lot of potential for success and profitability. There are hundreds of examples out there of businesses that have done so. Glamping is just one. Now, I want to share 3 things to help you be successful too. So those 3 things are: what can you do, or what should you be doing in order to spot trends and other external conditions? All types of organizations can really benefit from doing this, whether you're a small business, medium, large size, whether you are a membership-based organization like a chamber, whether you are a nonprofit organization, all can benefit from doing this external scan. The second thing I want to share is where to find the information you're looking for, and third, what to do with the information. So let's start with what should you be doing in order to spot trends and other external conditions. Well, I guarantee you the CEO of Collective Retreats didn't just sit down one day and say, if we build it, maybe they'll come. Obviously, it was born out of following these trends and looking at them and analyzing these trends and saying, these are viable. We could make a business out of this. It's risky, of course, to say, well, we could just try this or we could try that with little direction. So that external scan is pointing you in the direction of what you perhaps could pursue as an opportunity, but it also points you in the direction of what might be a threat. So make it an intentional part of your strategic planning at least once a year. If you're going to do a SWOT analysis, do it upright. The strengths and weaknesses we know are internal, but let's focus today on the opportunities and threats, those external things. So a little quick definition: opportunities are external conditions that could help your business performance and success, while threats are external conditions that can hinder your business performance and success. Sometimes an external condition can be both. For example, a low unemployment rate might mean obviously more people are working, they might have more discretionary money to spend, so that's an opportunity potentially for your business. On the other side of the unemployment rate being down is that it represents a threat because it means a tight labor market and maybe more difficulty in finding qualified employees. So sometimes a condition can be both. What you're really looking for are those trends and conditions that are relevant to your business, directly relevant to your business, or directly relevant to the people who are your customers. So if you're a business to consumer type business, you're looking for trends in the consumer realm. If you're selling to other businesses, you're looking for trends impacting those businesses who are your customers. You could also be looking for trends that potentially would impact the vendors and suppliers you work with. So that's a little bit of a deeper dive into the external conditions for opportunities and threats. I want to point out a couple things to be cautioned about. Avoid confusing opportunities with strategic actions. If you say, we could raise prices, that's a strategic action that's just thrown out there. It's not really informed by having done this external scan. So the actual external condition might be something like an increase in consumer confidence or the low unemployment rate that I mentioned previously. It's also important to avoid mixing threats and weaknesses or confusing the two. A weakness is always internal. It's something about your business that needs attention, that's problematic. Threats are always external. So there is a good test for knowing if you've accurately separated the two. And that is to say, would this condition or trend exist even if my business or organization didn't exist? If the answer is yes, then you've done a great job of accurately identifying something that's external. So you're looking for the external forces or conditions in several specific areas. First, in the competitor realm, do you have any new competitors or competitors who are growing stronger in some way? Quite a few years ago now, Starbucks probably didn't have McDonald's on their radar, but doing an analysis and looking for what's going on there, they saw that number one, McDonald's was adding specialty coffee drinks to their product line, and McDonald's had drive-throughs. This was before Starbucks had drive-throughs, so Starbucks had to take a strategic action then, informed by what a competitor was doing, and add drive-through service, but still maintain the quality that people expect with a Starbucks product. New or unique technologies, that's another place to look for external conditions. Some examples that we all know, the rise in mobile technology. That has given rise to strategic actions all the way from retailers sending you text alerts to your dentist sending you reminders on your phone that you've got an appointment coming up. Other technologies, drone technology, if certainly Amazon has capitalized on that. Increase in cyber attacks. Why is that relevant to your business? Well, you've got to do more to protect your information, your data and information. You've got to do more to protect your customers' data and information as well. Another place to look would be shifts in demographics in the markets that you serve. So these are changes in the population size or the makeup of the population. Age, gender, race, ethnicity, education levels, family makeup. Those are all things that fall under demographics. So an obvious one that a lot of businesses have been capitalizing on for a while now is the growth of anti-aging products, or that's really the strategic action they've taken. My generation, the baby boomers, is a huge segment of the population, and I think it's roughly 10,000 or more each day baby boomers turn 60. So that's a huge market and why you've seen this explosion in anti-aging products. I'm still searching for the right one, by the way. Another place to look, changes in the economy that affect consumer purchasing and the ability to purchase. They affect their habits and it might affect their ability to purchase. So changes in the economy would be things like the interest rate, because it affects a consumer's ability to borrow and purchase. Gas prices, unemployment rates, inflation rates, even what's going on with trade and tariffs is a part of economic change. Another place to look and be aware of changes in consumer preferences or customer preferences that will affect their purchasing habits. A great example of this is the preference for craft brews. That has been an exploding industry now since the 1990s, really. But the big players in the alcoholic beverage industry, like Budweiser and Coors and so forth, had to sit up and take notice of that trend. And so what did you see start to be strategic actions on their part because of the trend in craft brews was adding flavored beers to the mix of their products. Actually buying up the smaller craft brew companies and making them part of their product lineup. So you can see how you take advantage of some of these trends. Another place to look would be changes in politics, policies, and regulations. A great example is something that happened in New York City. There's a scheduling law, and I'm going to go over here to the article that I read about that. This affects fast food and retail businesses. And it says if you don't give employees 14 days notice about a shift change, then you have to pay employees a fee. While it gives certainty to employees, it also makes scheduling very complex. There are already laws similar to that in place in San Francisco and Seattle, and 13 other states are considering these regulations. So anytime regulations change, new ones are added, or there's a change to something, that certainly is of concern, and you have to look at it, is it an opportunity or a threat? And it could be things like a ban on trans fat. Rather than saying, well, that's a threat, my foods are fried in oil that has trans fats, look at it as an opportunity to put some healthier options on a menu. So secondly, where then do you find all of this information about external trends? Where do you find competitor information? Well, industry and trade publications, trade shows. Look at the press releases that competitors are issuing. They all have press releases archived on their websites. Follow your competitors on social media to see what they're doing. As far as new or unique technologies, obviously the technology news sources are going to be some of your best places to look. If you outsource some of your work, ask the companies you're partnering with. If you, for example, partner with an HR management company to handle your all of those things, employee payroll and so forth, ask them, do they have scheduling software if you anticipate that that law in New York might come to Illinois? Ask your vendors and suppliers about new technologies. Where do you go for information about shifts in demographics, anything to do with the population? The U.S. Census Bureau publishes that information, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and also local population statistics. Your local county and city governments can provide that information. Where do you find information about changes in the economy that will affect your customer purchasing habits? There is a publication that's put out by the Federal Reserve called the Beige Book. Yes, just like the color beige. I imagine, of course, at one time there was this big book that was beige in color. Now you can find the information, of course, all online at the federalreserve.gov website. Sometimes local colleges and universities do economic studies. I'm pretty sure Bradley does something like that about the local economy. So looking to your local colleges and universities for that information too. Where do you go to find changes in customer preferences that affect purchasing habits and or where and how they buy? Customer feedback, asking your customers, doing surveys, conducting focus groups can be helpful. Looking at the trends on social media, that can be time consuming. So working with a company that perhaps helps follow those trends, if that's in your budget to do that. There are paid services that you can use to help you follow consumer trends. Ask your employees, if you have employees, have them provide input that can be helpful in identifying customer trends. They may have customers coming in and asking for certain things that you don't offer, but you don't know if you don't have open communication with your employees. Ask your vendors, ask your suppliers, watch the news in general. Where do you go for the best information about changes in politics, policies, and regulations? Use your local Chamber of Commerce. If you are a member, you have access to information readily, but non-member information might be available too. They may publish information on their website that is accessible for any business or organization. Or sometimes chambers offer specific newsletters that are just about political action. Sometimes they offer special emails about those things that you can sign up for. And sometimes they offer workshops on how to be up to date on the latest in changes. It might be on a specific regulation or change. And where do you go to find information about trends in society, changes in people's values and beliefs, movements such as eco-friendly products, organic, the Me Too movement, the fact that people are looking for more personalization and customization. The Made in America trend is somewhat coming back. Look to social media again, that's a great place. Your industry publications and trade publications should also have that information. Again, customer feedback and employee input can also be places to search or learn about trends in society in general. And I want to make a special note to say, if you do business on a global basis, then you're looking at all of these things, not just in your home market, but also in all of the global markets that you serve as well. So, because the trends and conditions may be very different in the country markets in which you operate. Lot to take in, I know, but very, very worth doing. So once you've got all of this information that you've researched, what should you do with it? Well, the one thing that you want to do is make sure that you don't try to act on absolutely everything. You've got to filter that information and select those conditions that are just relevant to your business and industry. For example, while artificial intelligence is a very, very hot technology trend right now, the chances that your small business is going to use artificial intelligence in a direct manner in the very near future are probably pretty slim. However, it might be that you're going to end up using some type of technology or software down the road that is because of artificial intelligence. That's a very real trend. So just being aware that it's out there doesn't mean it's something that's particularly relevant to you right now. I'm going to share a quick example. Let's say you want to start a catering company, and you are wanting to narrow down those lists of opportunities and threats that might be directly relevant to you. You want to start a catering business, or you have a catering business. So some possible opportunities that you put on your list would be: there's an increase in the number of working couples who don't have time to cook meals. There's growing interest in healthy and organic ingredients. There's a growing number of consumers opting to eat in rather than go to a restaurant and incur that expense. There's a growing demand for high-quality takeout food. There's an increased demand for in-business catered events rather than more costly off-site dining. And the acceptance of the internet as a marketing and customer service medium. That's been around for a while, but you'd still put it on your list of opportunities. So you also need to be aware of some potential threats that would be relevant to you as a caterer. Consumers may have difficulty being convinced, or it may be hard for you to convince them to spend on quality in-home catered meals versus cooking for themselves. The growing cost of employee benefits might cause you to have to raise your prices or increase the price of your products. Competition from restaurants offering home or business delivery by services like Grubhub or doing it on their own would be a threat. And indirect competition from expanded takeout sections at local grocery stores would also be a threat. And I added another one that I think would be relevant to anybody entering some aspect of food service, and that is the increased instance of foodborne illnesses, where you just have to take so many more precautions to make sure that doesn't happen, of course, for your business. So in this case, you have a list of opportunities and threats that are about equal, maybe at one more opportunity. But you've narrowed it down. You're not trying to do absolutely everything. So you're assessing whether these opportunities are viable, they're realistic for you, you've got the capabilities to be able to pursue them, and it's actually a trend that has a longer life, because some trends we know can be a flash in the pan, as they say, something short-lived. You also, as I said, must analyze your internal strengths and weaknesses, because it's critical to be aware of whether or not you have the resources and capabilities to pursue an opportunity or to minimize a threat that you might have identified. You've got to assess whether or not. And if the answer is no, then that needs your attention first. So you'd stop there and put more of your strategic actions towards overcoming any weaknesses and building any strengths that you might have. If your answer is yes, or after you've corrected those weaknesses, then identify the opportunities and threats that should have your top priority. In other words, what can you address within the next 6 months to a year, and that you can readily pursue in that particular time frame. And then, yes, develop a plan, develop some strategic goals and some actions to address those top priorities. This could be an overall business plan, or it could be just your separate marketing plan. In my opinion, they need to blend together and not necessarily be looked at as separate. But oftentimes, the traditional SWOT analysis or this external scan component of identifying opportunities and threats becomes something that guides your marketing plan. So I've shared 3 things with you today. What you should do in order to spot trends and emerging conditions and capitalize on those, where to look for the information, and what to do with it once you have it. So if you want to be the one to spot those next new trends and capitalize on them, remember it's important to be intentional about an external scan. And as I recommended earlier, at least once a year. But also keeping your eyes open and your ears to the ground on a continuous basis to spot anything that might come along that rather than waiting an entire year, because there could always be something new out there that you want to have on your radar. You want to be readily available to notice changes that may affect your business growth and success. You know, as I always state at the beginning of the show, I am passionate about helping individuals and businesses thrive. And I want to extend a special invitation to be a guest on a future Business Minds program. I want to give you some insight into what I have planned for the months of August and September, so you can gauge if it's of interest. And this means, do you want a unique opportunity to promote your business, but also are you challenged by something that falls into the topics that I have on tap for August and September? Either way, a guest opportunity will be great for you to pursue. I'm currently booking guests for those 2 months. So August, it's back to school time. So my theme for the month of August is learning and development. This could include your own personal learning and development, your professional learning and development, and also your employee learning and development, both, of course, very important to your business success. For September, we kick off football season. Both high school and college are my favorites. And my focus will be how to inspire raving fans and build brand loyalty. That will be the topic for September. And I'll put both of these out on the Business Minds Facebook page so you can be reminded of these 2 topics and areas of focus for August and September to help you decide if you'd like to be a guest. You can always contact me at businessminds@mail.com. At email.com, I beg your pardon. I think I gave Tim the wrong address, so it's businessminds@email.com. I can send you details about how you can take advantage of this unique opportunity to promote your business right alongside learning and collaborating, connecting with me, connecting with other business owners who share your interests and share your challenges as well. You have an opportunity to promote to thousands of viewers across several social media platforms, both through Peoria Life and through my Business Minds Facebook page, as well as promote to viewers of PeoriaTV.com on the internet, and for on Channel 17, which is i3TV broadband subscribers. So thousands of opportunities. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a great week. I'll see you next Tuesday at 11:30. I have 2 special guests who are going to share details about an exciting professional development conference coming up in September. I'll see you then.